Alright, beautiful people, so the plan for today is to get the hull prepped and get the first layer of fiberglass on the hull. And then the plan for this video is that by the end, we should have the hull fiberglassed and the deck stitched and glued. There are a lot of different places where I could start, but where I think I'm going to start today is by shaping these rails. So covered in sawdust, I'm going to flip the boat over and start sanding the back. I'm going to start out at 40 grit. Alright, so the next couple of passes should go pretty quickly. All the really rough spots are gone. The dings from the tools and the extra resin that kind of spilled out in different places. All of that's gone. So now I'm just going to be going over and making this thing buttery smooth. Feel this boat through your TV or your phone or your computer or whatever it is you're watching this video on. But this boat is buttery smooth. It's amazing. So I went up to 220 grit sandpaper. I did a quick pass at 220, a quick pass at 120, a quick pass at 60, and a quick pass at 40. Well, actually a much longer pass at 40. This is good. This is good. So now we're going to lay some fiberglass. Now it's time to pour some resin. Just like that, we have the first coat of resin. Alright, you guys, it is 8:30 at night, but I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so it stays light out until like 9 and change. So I'm going to put another coat of resin on the boat so that it is nice and thick and gel coated, and that way I'll have something to sand back to when I do the final finishing. Good morning, beautiful people. It's the next morning, and I'm going to go check and see whether or not the resin has cured to the leather stage, because if it has, then I can trim it back pretty easily with just using a box cutter. If not, then I'll wait a little bit longer, and if it's gone too far, then I have to wait and use an angle grinder. It is actually pretty darn perfect, right? So it's nice and it's firm, but it's kind of like leather right now. So I should be able to cut it with a box cutter and get a really nice clean edge. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be lining up the inside edge of the deck and then stitching it together. And then I'm going to add these braces so that it is at the right angle when I mount it on the boat. Next, I'm going to make a mark 3/8 of an inch away from the edge. Now I'm going to use my little measuring square thing, and I'll start at the tip and I'll work my way back. Now I need to cut the stitches. have to make some decisions about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. Here we have the boat, and you can see I've got the top deck kind of strapped on with some straps to hold it on, and actually that's also taking out some inconsistencies in the connection between the deck and the hull. The pedals are going to mount way in there, and getting the pedals mounted will be a whole lot easier without this top deck on. If I take the top deck off, it'll be much easier to mount the pedals. The pedals won't get here in the mail for another 2 weeks. Yeah, you're my dog. That's right. I am sitting in the boat. And part of why I'm doing that is just to make sure that I fit in the boat. And second of all, because I kind of want to know how my knees are going to fit in the boat, how my legs are going to fit. My knees can get pushed up against the side decks here. My dogs will eat the grass. Hopefully they'll eat a lot of it because I haven't mowed in forever because we're trying to feed birds or something. I don't even know. I've decided that what I'm going to do first is stitch together the back deck and get that all glued up. And then tomorrow, we're going to mount the whole deck on top of the boat. Something weird that I'm realizing about using this gimbal is that everything kind of gets pushed this way, so it looks like I'm looking off that way all the time. I really have to focus on looking into the camera. I don't know how well this is going to show up in the video, but when I left this out to dry, I thought I'd left it on a flat surface, and apparently I hadn't, because the edge all along here buckled a little bit. Now it's not too bad, it's not bad enough that I'm not going to use it, but it's just not as ideal as I would like. The first thing I'm going to do is mark the edge where we're going to drill the holes, like the depth of where we're going to drill the holes. These edges are really well aligned already, so we don't have to do any grinding there, and we can just mark the holes, drill the holes, and then start stitching. I'm going to use my spacing tool. I'm going to go 1 inch from either side of the seam, and that'll be my starting point, and then I'll work my way out from there, marking all the holes. At the end of the boat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out these stitches, and then we're going to grind a taper on the back so that it actually wants to curve down. It helps if I aim the camera at the right place and remember to hit record. Just as an aside, see that right there? That's what happens when you have all these stitches sticking out. They're metal pokey bits. You get poked. of all, thank you. Second of all, wow. If you're not watching, I guess you're not watching, so that's not really an issue, is it? Thank you for sticking around, and I'm sorry that you stuck around so long for what's about to happen. Welcome to my fireside chat. Today, we're going to be talking about rocker. Rocker is the amount of curve from the front to the back of the boat. Now, in some cases, you have very little rocker, and the boat will have a very flat bottom. Now, take a look at this banana. It's old, like me, and that doesn't make it any less beautiful. Looking at this model of a kayak, you can see that it has very little rocker. In some cases, you can have too little rocker. If you have too little rocker, then your boat won't be able to turn very easily. In other cases, you have too much rocker. And if you have too much rocker, then your boat won't be able to go straight. The hull that we are making right now has too much rocker. From this angle, you can really see the problem. So rocker is the curve from the front of the boat to the back of the boat. And there's just way too much curve in the middle of this boat. In robotics, we have a saying, we don't lose, we learn. So I'm going to choose to learn instead of to lose. That's kind of what happens when you build boats by yourself. You'll learn. I am going to choose to learn from this and rebuild the hull, make it smoother, make it straighter, and make the boat track better. And I'll bring you guys along for the journey. And just like that, we've reached the end of an episode. I don't really know how to end these things.